Ever wish things would just, show up exactly when you need them? Like, imagine a perfectly timed delivery system, but for everything.
For everything.
Yeah. Well, today we're diving into a system that aims to do just that.
Okay.
At least when it comes to inventory. It's called Just-in-Time Management, or JIT for short.
JIT.
You sent over some really interesting stuff on this, and honestly, I gotta say, the idea of having the right stuff in the right place right when you need it, it's pretty appealing, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Who wouldn't want that kind of efficiency, right?
Exactly. What I find fascinating is that this whole concept, it actually originated back in mid-20th century Japan.
Yeah, it's a classic example of, necessity being the mother of invention.
Mm.
You see, Japan, with its limited space and resources, they just couldn't afford to have warehouses overflowing with stuff they weren't using.
All right.
So they needed a system that, really squeezed every ounce of value out of what they had. And that's where GIT comes in.
It's amazing how a concept born from such specific circumstances, became this global phenomenon.
Yeah.
So how does this whole JIT thing actually work? What are the fundamental principles behind it?
At its core, JIT is really built on a foundation of three things: eliminating waste, continuous improvement, and synchronizing with demand.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break it down for me.
Okay, so first, this idea of eliminating waste, might seem pretty straightforward on the surface.
Right.
But in the world of JIT, it goes way beyond just like physical waste. We're talking about identifying and reducing wasted time, wasted effort, resources, basically anything that doesn't directly contribute to actually creating a valuable product.
So it's about like trimming the fat, so to speak.
Exactly.
And really focusing on what truly moves the needle.
Yes, precisely.
It reminds me of that old adage, work smarter, not harder.
Exactly. And that actually ties into the second principle, which is continuous improvement.
Yeah.
Or kaizen, as it's known in Japanese. Kaizen. It's all about constantly analyzing your processes, always looking for bottlenecks, inefficiencies, areas for improvement, no matter how small.
So even if things seem like they're running smoothly, you're still looking for ways to, optimize and refine.
Precisely. Now, the third piece, and this is the one that really ties everything together, is the synchronization with demand.
Okay.
This is where JIT truly differentiates itself, because instead of producing goods based on, forecasts and just hoping they sell,
Yeah.
JIT actually aligns production directly with real-time customer demand.
Wow. So no more guessing games.
Exactly.
No more warehouses bursting at the seams with unsold products.
Right.
You're essentially creating a system that's agile and responsive to the ever-changing needs of your customers.
Exactly. And this shift, this move away from a push-based system to a pull-based system, it has the potential to unlock some incredible benefits, not just for businesses, but for customers as well.
Okay, now you're speaking my language. Let's talk about these benefits. I'm eager to hear how this plays out in the real world.
Well, one of the most immediate benefits is the reduction of inventory carrying costs.
Yeah.
So when you're not sitting on a mountain of unsold inventory,
Right.
you free up a significant amount of capital, right?
Yeah.
Money that can then be invested in other areas of your business. Research and development, employee training, or even just, having a healthier cash flow to weather those unexpected storms.
It's like taking the weight off your shoulders, both literally and figuratively, right?
Exactly.
Less money tied up in stock means more financial freedom and flexibility. Now, we all know that carrying excess inventory isn't just about the cost of storage, right?
Right.
There's also the risk of those products becoming, obsolete or outdated.
Absolutely. And that risk is significantly mitigated with JIT. By aligning production with demand, you minimize the chance of ending up with a warehouse full of products that are, no longer relevant in the market. And this focus on timely production also has a ripple effect on product quality.
So producing goods only when they're needed, that makes a lot of sense.
It does.
But how do you make sure that those goods are actually high quality?
Well, with JIT, because you're not mass producing and stockpiling, there's this heightened focus on quality control at each stage.
Yeah.
It's like having this built-in system where any defects or errors, they're identified and addressed immediately.
Right.
And that prevents those issues from, snowballing into larger problems down the line.
Yeah, it's about catching those issues early on when they're, easier and less costly to fix.
Exactly.
Now, I imagine this quick turnaround, this ability to adapt to demand, that must be pretty appealing to customers, right?
Absolutely. JIT allows businesses to be incredibly agile and responsive, which translates into, faster order fulfillment.
Right.
And potentially even more personalized product offerings.
Yeah,
And we all know happy customers, well, they're the lifeblood of any successful business.
absolutely. But, while this all sounds fantastic in theory, I can't help but wonder about the
Shared forecasts and a really collaborative approach to problem solving, those are all essential.
I bet.
But even with the most reliable suppliers, there are these external factors.
Yeah.
Things like, natural disasters, global events. These things can disrupt even the most well-planned supply chains.
Right, and that's where having those contingency plans becomes absolutely critical, right?
It really is.
You need to have backup suppliers,
Yes.
alternative shipping routes,
Oh.
and the ability you know, to pivot quickly in the face of the unexpected.
Exactly.
It's about anticipating those potential disruptions and having a plan B or even a plan C in place.
Precisely. Now, another critical aspect of JIT is the ability to accurately forecast demand.
Okay.
If your predictions are off, you risk either ending up with excess inventory or, well, facing stockouts,
Right.
both of which can be, pretty costly.
Of course.
So you need to have a pretty good grasp on what your customers want, sometimes even before they know it themselves.
Right. It's like you need a crystal ball or something.
It's true.
It seems like this is where technology can play a significant role.
Absolutely. And thankfully, technology has evolved to assist with these challenges.
Okay.
For example, enterprise resource planning systems, or ERPs, they're becoming increasingly sophisticated.
I've heard of those.
They provide a centralized system for managing everything from inventory levels to supplier communication, production schedules, and even demand forecasting.
So it's like having a digital command center for your entire operation.
That's a great way to put it.
Now, you mentioned ERPs help with forecasting.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Well, imagine a system that not only tracks your inventory in real time, but also analyzes, historical sales data, market trends, even factors like weather patterns to predict future demand with remarkable accuracy.
Wow.
This is where the real power of data analytics comes in.
So it's like having a crystal ball,
Yeah.
but one that's grounded in real data and insights.
That's a great way to put it. These technologies are constantly evolving, becoming more sophisticated, more intuitive,
Yeah.
which makes, implementing and managing a JIT system, well, more attainable than ever before.
Right.
But of course, technology is just one piece of the puzzle.
It sounds like, it's really like a potent combination, right? Having access to all these like powerful tools and pairing that with a strategic approach like JIT.
It really is.
We were talking about that Kaizen principle earlier, right?
Exactly.
That's what this reminds me of.
Yeah, it's not like a set it and forget it system,
Right.
You need to constantly monitor your processes, you need to analyze your data, and you really got to be willing to make those adjustments as needed.
So it's about staying flexible,
Yeah.
being adaptable,
Yes.
and always striving for that perfect balance between, efficiency and responsiveness. What I'm realizing is that this whole JIT mindset, this focus on like eliminating waste and maximizing value, it feels like this has applications far beyond just managing inventory, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And think about how often, we find ourselves bogged down by all that unnecessary clutter in our lives.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's, physical clutter in our homes or even like mental clutter.
Tell me about it.
Those like never-ending to-do lists we all have.
Oh, I'm definitely guilty of that.
It's so easy to just let things pile up, both literally and figuratively.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. But imagine if we could apply some of these JIT principles to other areas of our lives as well. Like, what if we approached our time and energy with that same just-in-time mentality?
You mean like only taking on commitments when we actually have the capacity?
Exactly.
Or like finding ways to streamline our daily routines to, minimize wasted time and effort.
Precisely. It's about, being more intentional with our choices,
Right.
focusing on what truly adds value to our lives, and just, letting go of the rest.
It's like decluttering not just our physical spaces, but also our mental and emotional spaces too.
Exactly.
I love that.
It's powerful stuff.
So as we kind of start to wrap up this deep dive into the world of just in time, is there a final thought you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Yes, absolutely. As you go about your day, your work, your life, ask yourself this: where could you benefit from a just-in-time approach? What area could be, streamlined, optimized, made more efficient just by, adopting this way of thinking?
It's a great question to ponder, for sure. And on that note, we'll wrap up this episode of The Deep Dive. Until next time, stay curious, and remember, sometimes less is truly more.